those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptations, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Lord our Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for keeping us safe till now. Most people have lost their lives, but through your mercy, you have managed to keep us safe. We thank you. Thank you, Lord. Lord our Father, we are here in front of you. We offer to you all this session in your hands. May you please guide us, protect us, make us understand what we study, so that we may use them to pass our exams. Lord our Father, we are requesting you to fill us with the Holy Spirit, so that we may be guided and we honor your name when we excel. We make our prayers through Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you so much for the word of prayer. Allow me now to share my screen. Allow me to share my screen, and then we start. Like I communicated, today we are going to be looking still at math, the math session, and we are going to complete our numbers that we started on last on Monday. Now today we are going to tackle the area of data and probability, and under data and probability we have basically 4 areas. We have what we call the statistics. So the statistics, this is where you have your data collection. This is where you look at your mean, you look at the mode, you look at the median. That is the statistics. Then we have Venn diagrams. This is where we are bringing the issues concerning sets. Then we have the matrices, and then we have the probability, which involves the tree diagrams. Now, when it comes to data and probability, whenever you are approaching this particular item under data and probability, kindly go on and specify which approach are you using to present your data. Now, when it comes to data presentation approaches, it can be an approach of a Venn diagram. That's when you have sets. It can be a frequency distribution table. That's when you have statistics. It can be a matrix method or matrices. In case it is probability, you tell us, are they tree diagrams, or it is another approach that you are using to present your data. So always you must specify which approach you are using to present your data. Now, still, when it comes to this element of construct, you must be very careful with how you make decisions. So whenever you are making a conclusion, you must ensure that you make a good conclusion, you make a decision, and then you give a reason why you are saying so. Now, the item we are working on was telling us that the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Industry and Fisheries. So by the time we ended last time, we had finished looking at how to solve using the matrix method. And I told you that the moment you find that there are matrices in that particular section, then you are expected to use the matrix method, because that is the best method to use at that particular point or under that element of construct, because we expect here to use your data. We expect you here to use your data approaches for you to be able to present and organize your data. So, and I think I went on and I took you to this particular area. Now, when you look at the second part of the scenario talked about 3 things. It talked about animal production, it talked about technology, and it talked about the crop. Now, what do you have to do? Now, when you look at this particular part that we are going to deal with, you notice that they have told that during the show, learners from school A, they visited different grounds. Now, I told that always highlight the math, that they visited crop production, animal husbandry, and agricultural technology. Now, when you get data, when you have your data, like I've said, you are going to specify which approach are you using. So now here I'm going to come and say that the method of presentation that I'm going to use Venn diagram. So I'm going to say Venn diagram representing. What are your Venn diagrams showing, or what are they representing? They're representing Venn diagram representing learners from school A who visited the different exhibition grounds. Now, here what we look out for is, has the child been able to write for us the method of presentation that we have seen Venn diagram? So that means that here you have told us the method of presentation of your data. Never miss this item with, or never go off this item minus you specifying the method of presentation of your data. Then from there, when you look here, you note that in our scenario, they never defined for us the different things. So what does it mean? It means that I will expect, or we shall expect you to first define for us what you have within here. That I'm going to use this data. I'm going to say that let now my C represent, let it be now the crop what? Crop production. Whatever letter you are going to use, define it. I'm going to say let may be A, be the what? The animal husbandry. Go on and say now letter may be T, be the agricultural technology. So define, before you use these letters, first define what are these letters representing. What are these letters equal to? So where you see C, it means those are the number of children, or you can say, let's see, be the number of learners who visited the crop production. Let A be the number of learners who visited the animal husbandry. Let it be the number of learners who visited the agriculture technology exhibition ground. That is the meaning. Now, from there, you are going to start summarizing in bits. You are going to start summarizing your data. So they told that 10 learners chose to spend their time at the recreation park. Now, when you read through your item, you need to identify, ask yourself, what does this mean? What does it mean? You need to understand the item. You need to understand what? The item. So when you are representing this thing, you need to understand and ask yourself, what is this one representing in this particular what? In this particular context. Now, after you identifying that in this particular context, this is what might be meaning, this is what it means, then there you can go on and proceed. So when you look at what we have now, they told us that 10 learners chose to visit the recreation park. Then I'm going to say, among those who visited the exhibition grounds, 24 learners visited the crop production exhibition. So I'm going to say the number of learners who visited the crop were 24. I first summarize. So here I have finished. 12 learners visited the agriculture exhibition ground. So I will say now, what about technology? How many were they? That those ones were 12. Then I continue. 3 learners visited all the 3 exhibitions. So I will come and say C, intersection A, intersection T, that these were 3 learners. Then I continue. 7 learners visited only the agricultural technology exhibition. Now that one I'm going to write it that technology only. Those learners who visited the technology only. Now, that one I'm going to say that there are 7 what? Learners. If you have not written it like this, then it means that you need to know, how am I going to write it if I'm not write it in this particular format. Now, make sure that you use this correct set notations. But if you are not sure about the set notations to use, then please write them the way they are. Then from there, I'm going to continue. No learner visited both the crop, so I will say crop, which is C, and agriculture technology. Read very well. No learner visited both the agriculture crop production and technology grounds only. So now this word is very key. So we shall say only, and this was equal to 0. Then you continue. The number of learners who visited both the animal husbandry and agriculture technology. So you first write that the number of learners who visited both the animal, which is A, and the agricultural technology was, take note, was equal to half the number of those who visited both the crop production and the animal husbandry only. Now you take note of those words. Those words are very crucial. I repeat. Then when you come back here, the number of learners who visit both the animal husbandry and agriculture only. Here, don't forget that this one is also only, is equal to half, or was half, the number of those who visited. What does it mean? It means that if these were 4, these ones were going to be 2. That is the meaning. That if these were 8, the other ones were going to be what? Half. That is the meaning. So this is how I can now write it. Now from there, I'm going to continue and say now, when you look at all our things, learners should either have visited the crop, animal, and agriculture technology. Now what does it mean? It means that in case you find that there are learners who did not visit any of them, then now you need to know where are those learners. Now here indirectly they are telling you that the number of learners who didn't visit any of the 3 are the learners who went in for the recreation grounds. Now what does it mean? It means that those are the people you are going to put outside. Those are the 7, because these ones went on, it was like they did not visit any because they went for recreation, which is an indicator they did not visit any of the grounds. Now that one, you take note of it. So what are we going to do? Now we are going to say A union B union C, A union C union T prime was equal to how many learners? 10. Now this is now your simple summary of all the data that you have. So after you summarizing your data in that format, then now it means that now you are good to go and now start working on other areas. So I want to repeat that have your data well summarized from your scenario. Summarize your data. After summarizing your data, you are going to start now letting. In case there is anything that you do not have, then you start what? Letting it, that this one is supposed to go here, this one is supposed to go here, this is supposed to go where? It's supposed to go here. Now, there are some of these ones. Take an example. When you look at this one, someone could write it differently. Someone could say that C and T only. So someone could come and say, if they want C and T only, how can I write it? So allow me to first give you now a summary, such that now you know very these Venn diagrams. In case this is my Venn diagram, I want to bring it to your attention. In case this is my Venn diagram, and this is 1, and this is the 3. For our case, in case we have C, we have T, and we have A. Now I want to tell you that the one in the middle is the one we call A intersection T intersection C. It combines everything. Now when it comes to this is C intersection T, but since A is out, we shall say A complement. Now here we shall have A intersection T, but because C is out, we shall say that this is C complement. And for this is the same as A intersection C intersection T complement. Now when you look at the one we have here, since this is C, I can eliminate. Once you eliminate anything in sets, let me say I'm eliminating this, I'll write it as a prime. In case I'm eliminating this, I'll write it as a prime. So meaning that here I can write this as C intersection T complement, because I don't want T intersection A complement. And in case I'm writing here, I write A intersection C complement intersection T complement. In case I'm writing for the other third one, I'm going to come and say that this is the same as my T intersection C complement intersection A complement. Now, whatever thing, now like here you see C, it means that T is eliminated. So that's why there is no element of T inside there. It means that A is eliminated, so there is nothing of what? Of A. That's the meaning of complement, that you do not want any element from T, you don't want elements from A. And then this one outside, we can call it, this is C union T union A, but everything is going to be complemented, because you know very well that everything inside here, inside is what we call C union T union A. But since you have said you are not interested in any of elements there, then we put what? A complement. Now, dear students, and then what do we have outside here? This is the number of elements, which is equal to depending on the total number. Now, in case, because a scenario can come whereby they have given you some of these set notations, meaning that now you need to know, where do I place this one? Where do I place this one? Where does this one what? Where does this one go? The same knowledge you apply here is the same knowledge you'll apply in case you have a two Venn diagram. So you apply the same knowledge and then you proceed. So that is how you handle such. Now, after you okay. So after you coming up with this, the next step you are going to do now is for you now to transfer your data into your Venn diagram. So, like I have said, I'm going to come here. Allow me to use this space. Allow me to use this space. And then I'm going to have my Venn diagram. Please, when you are drawing the Venn diagrams, please make sure that you use what? You use a compass. Don't use the freehand. Allow me also to follow the same, such that please you also use the same. So make sure you use, you draw your Venn diagrams very well. Okay, this last one, let me first remove it. Okay, now that is your Venn diagram. So you are going to put, but I want you please to read the scenario again. When you read the scenario, you can take note that they told that these learners were from school A. And when you look at school A had how many children? Had around 50 children when you look at school A. So you need to take note of that the number of elements within the school A was 50. Now, after that, start placing your things inside your Venn diagram. So I'm going to come on my Venn diagram here, and now I start placing my values. So here, I'm going to have my number, which is 50. Now here, I have my people of crop, which was equal to 24. Here, I have the number of A, which we don't know. Here, you don't know. Here, I have the technology, which was given us 12. Then they told us that those who did all were 3. Then here, you had your 0. Then what else? I think those are here, you had 7. Then here, who didn't do anything, they were 10. Now, what are you going to do? Now, the first Venn diagram you do is going to be that Venn diagram that contains everything, the way that you have extracted this information from the scenario. Is the same way you present it on your first Venn diagram. So we expect to see there are some unknowns and the rest of that. But I want now to go back to one of the statements that the A intersection T only was equal to half of the number of elements in CA only. Now, at this point, you can now let it is up to you what you want to let. You can decide to say that let the number of elements in A intersection T only be X. That is okay. Such that in this equation, where you have X, here where you have this, you put what? X. So what shall we have? It means we shall have X equaling to 1 out of 2, the number of elements in CA only. Now, what are you going to do? You are going to multiply both sides by 2. So you get 2x is equal to n into C intersection what? A. And this is only. Now, what does it mean? It means that where there is A intersection T here, I'm going to put here my x. Where there is A intersection C only, I'm going to put my 2x. And what is my task? My task, when you look at the item was interested in us determining how many learners visited animal husbandry exhibition. That is the first part that we are working on. So now I'm going to come here that now I've finished to fill in, and I say now number of learners who visited the animal exhibition only. But before I find that, I'm going to first find the what is the unknown x. Now when you look at our unknown, I'm going to use this set that n of t is equal to 12. Now from here you can note that this is the same as 0 plus 3 plus x plus 7 equaling to 12. So what do you have? This is going to be 10 plus x equaling to 12. And therefore your x will equal to 12 minus 10. So your x is going to equal to 2. That means that here in the place where we have x is where we shall place our 2. But now you note that you do not have this, yet the item is interested in finding how many of these children were taking animal and who were visited the animal husbandry. So what are you going to do? Before you find this, before you know this, first find those unknowns. So I'm going to say that let the number of children who took C only maybe be K. So here I'm going to come and I put K. What does it mean? That when I add any element within that, I must be able to get 24. So I'm going to come and say this is K plus 3 plus 0 plus 2x. I must be able to get 24. But we have already obtained our x as 2, so I'll come and say K plus 3. I can remove the 0. 2 times x, which is 2, is equal to 24. So this will be K. 3 plus, this is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. This is going to be our 7 is equal to 24. So meaning that our K is going to be now 24 minus the 7, which will give us our 17. That's what we shall have. So that means that where there is K, we shall have our value as 17. So now we have obtained here that here we shall have 17. Now what else do we need? Now we need to know what about those the number of learners who were taking A only. So here I can let this be M. Now what are you going to do? Now what you are going to do now, since you want to get the number of M, so I define that let the number of people who take NO only be M. Now to get the total number, what does it mean? It means that we are going to add everything we have within our Venn diagram and equate to 50. So that's what we are going to do. So we are going to come and say that in our universal set, we have 50 learners from A. So we start. When you look here, this is K 2x plus 3 plus 0. So dear students, when you look at this Venn diagram here, and you add everything, you get 24. So I can just say 24 plus our M plus X plus 7 plus 10 will equal to 50. But if you want, if you don't know this approach, then for you what you are going to do is, please add slowly. Add everything. K plus 2x plus 3 plus 0 plus x plus m plus z plus 10 is equal to this. So when you collect like terms, you'll have 24 plus 7 plus 10, which is 41, plus m plus your x, which is 2, plus 2, okay. So this is plus 2. So
not yet.
So what are we going to have? We shall have 41 plus 2, which is 43. So we shall have here 43 plus m is equal to 50. So allow me to use this space. So your m will equal to 50 minus 43. So when you get 50 minus 43, you'll get your m as 7. So that is what you are going to get for that particular part. Now, what is going to be the next? You are going now to draw a new Venn diagram and now input your values in the best way possible, such that for every unknown that you have calculated is put back. Now that is what we are going to do. We have obtained the value of k, we know k, we have obtained our x. Okay. Wait. Your microphone is on. Okay, so now you are going to allow me to take you to, allow me to create space here, and then I take you to a new screen. Now, on our new screen, we are going now to go on. We are going to go on and have the Venn diagram. Let's be filling in our kindly give me a minute. Okay, so we are going to proceed with our second Venn diagram. So our second Venn diagram, like I've told you, always use your, this is my second Venn diagram. Draw it very well. Use a compass. Use a compass. and label it very well the way you have obtained. So in the second Venn diagram, you do not put there what? Unknowns. You do not put there unknowns. You do not put there unknowns. So okay. Now here we are going to place in our values that here you have 50, that here you have 24. Here we don't know them yet. Here you had your t equals to 12. Then here you had obtained 7, 0, 3. Our x here was 2. Here it was 2x, which was equal to 4. Here we had obtained 17. And our k here was 7. Now, when you look at the item, they ask you to find the number of people who visited the animal production. So I'm going to have to say number of people who visited the animal production. So now I'm going to come and say now to get the number of people who visited the animal production is equal to 7 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2. So when you add, these are going to be 16 people who visited the animal production. Now you're going to make a conclusion. Remember, always you have to respond to the item. So we shall say that 16 people. Now here I'm not going to use people. These were learners. So be mindful of the language, number of learners. So here I will say that 16 learners visited the animal unit or the animal exhibition grounds. So that's how you respond to that part. Then when they ask, recommend the exhibition ground that should be expanded during the next agriculture show. Give a reason for your answer. Now, this one just requires you now to reason out and ask yourself, if they are to expand a given unit, which one should be? Now, meaning that in your reasoning, you can say now, I can consider the one which attracted more people. So here someone could reason and say that they could expand the crop production. Why? Because it attracted the highest number of learners. How many were they? 24, which is bigger than any other unit. So that's how you can make that conclusion that the crop production should be expanded because it attracted the highest number of learners, which was 24, compared to the technology and the animal production that attracted the 16 and 12 learners respectively. So that's how you can reason and that's how you can conclude on that. But remember, for every item, for every thing, please go on and then make a decision. Go on and make a conclusion. And those numerical values indicated there, put the numerical values 20, just because it attracted the highest number of learners. Mention the number of learners and then make a comparison that it made 24 compared to the technology and the animal production, which only attracted 16 and 12 learners. Okay. Now that's how you can respond to such an item. I'm going to invite two questions. You can place your question in the chat, but if you have a question, you may now ask. So I'm going to start with Indeche, and then I go to Captura Muslim. Kindly unmute. 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 Okay, I've failed to get Captura. Malaba Secondary.
You ask. Isha, from there I'm
Finally,
not
sir,
for that one.
I am confused.
Where do we get activity?
Continue.
They are data half. They are half. Where are the half gone? Eh?
Please go on your saying.
They are half. I'm confused of the other half.
Where have you
Oh,
taken?
They are half.
now they are half. When you look at my Venn diagram here, when you look at our scenario here, they told you that they are from here. The number of planners who visited both the animal. So that one, when you are writing it mathematically, I'm going to write number of learners who visited the animal and agriculture technology only was half the number of learners who visited crop and animal only. In other words, let me say if the number of people who visited crop, let me say if the number of people who visited crop and this were, let me only, were 10, these ones here were half. So what is a half of 10? That it is 5. If these ones were 2, then if these were 2, then this was one person who visited. Now you just let unknown, so you can decide to let this to be your x or this to be your x, any of the two. Now in case you decide that NC of A is going to be your x, like your x, then that means that you are going to say A intersection T only will equal to a half of x. That's what you use. But if you decide to use A intersection T only to be your x, then you'll have now, that means that this side you are going to have x equaling to 1 out of 2 intersection CA only. So you multiply by 2, multiply by 2, such that now for that case, you use 2x. Hope it is clear now.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Act High School. Act High School.
Yeah, no, this.
Act
That
High
is a
Good
School.
good
afternoon.
one.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
We are
afternoon.
asking about the 10 that is outside the Venn diagrams. The other 10.
Yes.
Why didn't you add it
Yeah.
to finding the outside?
When we are?
When you were
Why
finding
did
the
you?
total of the people who were in the at the agriculture sector, you never added
Yes.
that 10 that is outside. Why?
Oh, no, when you look here, are you seeing this? The 10
Yeah.
is here, we added it there. Have you
On
seen?
the new Venn diagram. On the new Venn
Oh, on the
diagram.
new Venn diagram. No, it is there. Indicate it. I think I just forgot. It is supposed to be there. Is that fine?
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's have just one more. Kugure SS, Ona Park, one of you.
And ask. Now open the mic of ask.
Yes,
Ask.
Napak. Okay. Okay, I think Beatrice Secondary. Brain Set High School. Kindly ask.
Like I am asking,
Yes.
like what if like after substituting for the unknowns,
Yes.
is it possible that you can get some negatives in the Venn diagram?
No, unless there was a problem with maybe the scenario
Yes,
or
sir.
with your working. So here, when you are dealing with learners, you cannot have a negative. So people cannot be negative.
Oh,
Unless the context. Yes?
what about the points?
Still, even you cannot have points because a person cannot be a point. So it depends on the scenario you are dealing with. In case the scenario has points, unless the scenario was dealing with points, maybe in case the scenario was talking about things concerning, let me say, measurements, whereby they gave you something, let me say, an example that can bring out points can be something concerning maybe baking, whereby they have told you that maybe a baker was mixing, maybe they tell you flour, they tell you maybe which other ingredients they use, maybe sugar, maybe and this. And they tell that this person had a total of 0.5 grams of this, 0. This of this, and this. That's when you can have points. So it depends on the context. For points, it is very possible, but it depends on the context that you are dealing with. In case there are people, then you cannot have what? You cannot have points. But in case there are those ingredients or those particular things in real life that can have points, like I've said in baking, many times they use those small measurements. So they may say this and this and this. So in case it's such, most now like when they're making cakes, you find that they put a lot of micro ingredients. So for such, you can have those particular points. Hope that is okay. Okay. St. Elizabeth Girls, Mitiana, you are the last. Okay. Have I failed to get them? Okay. Actually, if I failed to get, okay. Ogombe High, one of you.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Would like you to clarify more. Now you got number of A only, and also don't we put a title on the second Venn diagram?
Oh, now number one, since you have already specified the method of presentation, you may not go on to put the second what? Title. Because always we look out for the title on the presentation you are making, because a Venn diagram is a method of presentation of data. So now, if you have already put it, it is okay. But if you want, you can as well put it. But you'll be awarded just a score for the first title that you have put on your Venn diagram. Now, when it comes to come again, the other one was number only 4. Which particular thing was that? Okay. I think I didn't pick the other second question very well. Okay. So we are going to continue now and look at the second. Now, the second part I want to emphasize is geometry and measures. Geometry and measures has quite a number of topics that you need to know. It has a number of topics. There are about 14 topics that you need to be well conversant with. And those topics under geometry and measures, here please, number one, take note, write it somewhere, that whatever sketch you are doing, make sure that it is proportional. Make sure that it is proportional to the measurements that you are making. I repeat, whatever sketch you are making, let that sketch be proportional to the measurements you are making under geometry and measures. In case you are making a sketch, let me say you are making a sketch of maybe a triangular garden or rectangular garden like this. We expect that here under this element of construct, you show the, even if it is the sketch, that we do not expect you to tell us that these are 10 centimeters and then these are let me say 14 centimeters. Mathematically, this distance here, the 14 can't be bigger than what? The 10. Now this one, you will not get a score when it comes for a sketch. Much as it is a sketch, make sure that the units of measurement you put, make sure that the sketch you are putting, it makes what? It makes sense. Even if now you have come up with a triangle, you cannot come and have a triangle and say that maybe this is 5 and maybe this is 20 and this is maybe 30. Please, you ask yourself, when you look at 5, you notice that this 5 is smaller than the 20 and 30. So you need to show that proportionality when you are making sketches under geometry and measures. Number 2, communicate that this is a sketch. You say this is a sketch showing a rectangular garden. This is a sketch showing the playing field. This is a circle showing this and this. So communicate what you are doing for the work. Now, when it comes to the sketch, extract the values directly the way you have obtained them from your scenario. The way you obtain them from the scenario, let me say you are dealing with a triangular figure, and maybe that particular figure was talking about kilometers. It is okay. Come and put there that these were 15 kilometers from the diagram, that maybe these were 8 kilometers. Place the angles in there, the way you got them from the what? Venn diagram. But indicate, communicate that here you are making what? A sketch. And what is the sketch showing? The sketch is showing maybe a triangular play field. It is showing maybe a rectangular cake. It is showing maybe this and this. That's how you are supposed to come. So be very careful when it comes to geometry and measures. Whatever sketch you are doing here, make sure it is accurate. Now, when it comes to drawing diagrams, let me say there are circles, you are inscribing, you are circumscribing, you are drawing those particular graphs. Make sure that you use a graph paper. Use a graph paper and make sure that your graph paper at least covers 3/4 of your graph. Let it be a very good. In case you are doing bearings, make sure that when you are drawing your bearing for your sketch, let it be a talking sketch. Some of you you just draw something like this. You come this because it is what? A sketch. Now here you are not going to get a score because you need to clearly indicate that in bearings are the compass direction there. So indicate that this is a compass direction, this is north, and this is what? North. That maybe someone moved from Kampala, then you indicate that this is Kampala. What bearing did the person make? Then when you are coming here, don't just come and say this is 45. Show us how are you measuring the bearing? That the bearing, I'm measuring it like this. I'm starting from the north line and I'm turning towards the east. Then maybe the person went to where? To Mpigi. Then you come and show us Mpigi, show us the direction. The person is changing. That is the direction. That from Mpigi, the person went maybe where? To Bukandula. That is Gomba. And then you show us the what? The direction. But remember, when you're communicating in bearings, you must show us the distance, you must show us the direction, meaning that arrows are paramount here. So I expect that you are going to put the arrow. However much it is a sketch, show all those things, because a sketch is the representation of the accurate diagram you are going to draw. Meaning that if your sketch is wrong, there's no way you're going to have an accurate what? An accurate diagram. So let the sketch show exactly what you are going to have on your accurate diagram. So make sure that your sketch, don't do rough work. Make sure that whatever thing you have on your sketch can also be replicated when it comes to your final or to your accurate diagram. The same thing here is going to happen when it comes to things of transformations, when it comes to reflection, when it comes to nets, areas, and volumes. You need to know the different nets, because they may ask you that this person went on and opened the box, went on it's there, but it's muted and they are stopped sharing. Okay, so that is what you need to do under this element of what? Element of construct. But I'm going to summarize what you need to know at the end of the day. But please keep those things in mind, that whatever thing you are doing under this, make sure that it reflects what actually your work is all about. Now, when you look at this element of construct under geometry and measures, they told us that a contractor is renovating, okay? Kindly take 2 minutes to read through the scenario. Take 2 minutes to read through the scenario, such now that we can now start. Okay, hope now you have read through the scenario and we are good to start. Now they told us that a contractor is renovating a classroom block at a secondary school. I told that whenever you read the scenario, relate it to real life. Just imagine, imagine how does this thing look like in real life? One of the 1.4-meter concrete hose has started leaning and now makes an angle of 80 with the ground. To prevent it from collapsing before repairs are completed, the contractor places a 2-meter wooden support between the top of the hole. Now, I told you that whenever you read the paragraph of the scenario, relate to real life. How does this thing look like in real life? Then after that, come look at the task. What does the task want you to do? That the task is asking you that, can this person go on and locate where should the contractor place the wooden support? Now, in real life, I know some of you have seen those things. When you look at those things, those are mathematical things. Some of you, when you go to your banana plantations, you find your parents, you find your judges, you find that even at school, whereby you have placed a stick on the banana plant when it has maybe it is having a banana what? But this is mathematics. Okay, a minute. Okay, now that is what is happening in real what? In real life. I want to continue in real life. So always, whenever you find these scenarios, I've said relate to real life. You have seen something of this nature happening whereby they have put a supporting what? A supporting material such that something doesn't follow. That is the mathematics. Please, when you are passing around, just ask yourself, which mathematics is this? I want to bring to your attention that mathematics is the mathematics of trigonometry. Now, what are you going to do? You are going to come up with a sketch. Like I've said, this element of construct, come up with what? with a sketch and let your sketch reflect what is within the what? Within the scenario. So I'm going to come and say, remember when you are coming up with a sketch, make sure it is a talking sketch. Don't just come up with the things. So they told us that a contractor is renovating a classroom block at a secondary school. One of the 1.4 concrete walls, has started leaning and now makes an angle of 80 degrees with the ground. So I'm going to come here and say a sketch. Or I say sketch of the classroom block. Now, I'm going to come, when something starts what? Leaning. Now, they told you that it makes an angle of 8 with the ground. So I'm going to say, now, if this is my ground, you just assume that this is my what? This is the ground. Now, a hole. So I'm going to come and say now, it is going to be something like this. Yeah, that is the hole. And what am I going to say? Now, like I've said, always make sure you are proportional. If it is 80, you say, but is this angle I'm drawing surely 80? So I'm going to come here and I will draw something such that now you know that the angle is around what? 80. So I'm going to come here and I say, now these are the 80 degrees. Then from there, but they told us it is 1.4 meters. Then they went on and told us that to prevent the wall from collapsing before repairs are complete, the contractor places a 2-meter wooden support between the top of the wall and the ground. So I'm going to come here and say now, this one is my wall, and now the engineer is going to come and then is going to place what? Is going to place here a support. Now this is my support. So now here, but they have told us it is 2 meters. So I'm going to come and say these are 2 meters and this is the wooden support. Now when you look at our sketch, this is a sketch of a triangle. What are you going to do? Now you need to remember your knowledge of triangles. What are they interested? They are interested in finding out what side do we have, or what is the length between this point and this point here, where the engineer should place. Now, since we don't know it, and you have only 2 sides of the triangle with 1 angle, you are going to come and say, if I'm to find the length and the angle, which rule can I use? And now this item is an application of your sine rule, is an application of the cosine rule. So this is where you apply that knowledge. But before you find you cannot find the length if you have just 1 angle. So you need at least 2 angles. Now, number 2, you can first find the angle using which knowledge? Using the knowledge of what? Of your sine rule. So I'm going to come and I first find out, I ask myself, can I get one of the angles? Which angle can I look out for? That maybe I can get this angle if I want, or I can get this angle if I want. So it is up to you to know which angle you're going to start with, or which angle you need to find. So from here, I'm going to say now, which one can I use? Remember, when you are using, you need to know what I'm going to use. Whenever you have 1 angle and you are missing 1 angle, but you have 2 sides, then it means the sine rule. So I'm going to come here and I call this alpha and say, let the angle between the ground, let the angle between the ground and wooden support be alpha, this angle here. So remember your knowledge of sine rule. I'm just reminding you. You remember when your teachers told you that if this is A, this is B, and this is what? C. That the side where your angle faces is length A. The side where B faces is length B. Where the side C is C. Then your teachers told you that this is going to be A out of sine of A equals to B out of sine of B equals to C out of sine of what? Sine of C. That's what your teacher has taught you. But here now, always related to the scenario. Remember here we don't mark formulas, but we look at correct substitution in the correct formula with correct values. That's when you can get the right what? The right response. So if you compare, this angle of 80 is facing this side, meaning that this is the length. So we shall set 2 out of sine of what? 80 degrees equals to this side where the angle faces. So that is going to be 1.4 out of sine of what? Alpha. Now what are we going to do? We are going to cross multiply. So we shall have 2 sine of alpha equals to 1.4 sine of 1 over 80. Now some of you always want to simplify things. So you can say now, what am I going to do? Now avoid what we call approximations or using the calculator. So come here and say 1.4 times what is sine of 80? And please always make sure that your calc is set in degrees unless you are being told. So it's going to be 9848077. Be very accurate. So then when you get that times 1.4, you are going to end up with 2 sine of alpha equals to 1.3787331. And like I told you, that as long as you are still using that value, make sure you write it to as many decimal places as you can. So meaning that here now our sine alpha will equal to that divided by 2. It's going to give us 0.689. This is going to be 7. But what do we want? We want our alpha. So I'm going to come and say now sine of alpha is equal to 0.689365. So our alpha will equal to sine inverse of 0.689365. Please show all the working. So sine inverse of that will give us our angle as 43.580 degrees. Now, after obtaining that angle, you can go back to your sketch. So when you look at our sketch, let me draw it here again. Our sketch, you are noticing that the angle we had here was 80 degrees. Now we have obtained this angle now, which is 43.580 degrees. You have this as 1.4 meters. You have this as 2 meters. What side are you interested in? You are interested in this particular side. Now you can apply the sine rule again. But in case I'm to apply the sine rule, I'm going to first let let this angle here be what? Be beta. But you define it that let that angle be beta. And you know that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So you say beta plus 80 plus 43.58 is equal to 180. So you say now your beta is equal to, you do your math. So you get 43.58 plus 80, which is 123. So 180 minus 123.580, you get, what answer do you get? I'm getting my beta. Okay. So 80 plus 43.58. Then when I get 180 minus that, I'm getting here an answer of 56.42. And these are what? These are degrees. Now, after obtaining those values, now you can decide to go on and say, now I have this angle. So what can I use? What side am I interested in? I'm interested in this side. Maybe you can call it X or define it. Or you can say that let X be the distance from the wall or from the wall to where the supporting material is. So now you can still use your sine rule. So because now you're going to have a triangle of this nature, whereby this is 80 degrees, this is 43.58, and now here is 56.42. This is 2, and this is 1.4 meters. So you still use your sine rule. Say here you have said it is x, so you shall say x out of sine of 56.42 is equal to, use any of the sides you want, 2 out of the sine of what? 80. So you shall have x equaling to 2 sine of 56.42 out of sine of what? 80. And now here, place your calc and say this is 2. What is going to be my sine of 56.42? It's going to be 0.833114. divide by sine of 80, which is going to be 0.984808. And now you place your calc and then find out what answers you are getting. So from the calculations, I'll have my value of x as 1.6919. And these are what? Those are meters. So that is how you can approach that part. So that is how you can approach that particular part. So after doing so, you are going to make a conclusion that now, when you are making a conclusion, here you can reason out, ask yourself, if my answer is 1.6919, first write that answer, and then when you are responding, now you be a bit more realistic. Determine where the lower end of the support would be placed. You ask yourself, if I'm to measure meters using different measuring tapes, will I be able to get this? So this is where now you're going to approximate and say, since when you look at one of the measurements was 1.4, meaning that they can measure. So here you can conclude and say 1.7 what? 1.7 meters. So you're going to respond and say that the supporting load or the supporting material should be placed at a distance of 1.7 meters from the on the horizontal ground from the wall. So that's how you determine that particular angle. But also at this point, when you obtain one angle, someone could decide to use the cosine rule. So someone who wants could say, I want to use the cosine rule. So you come and say a squared plus b squared minus c squared is equal to 2bc. And this is going to be cos of what? Cos of a. So even if you use the cosine rule, for you come, come here, substitute what is your a, which is now x squared, is it the other side, which is 1.4 squared plus 2 squared minus 2 times 1.4 times 2 cos of 5.42. So when you do what? You place those values, cos 56.42 times 2 times 1.4 times 2. Here, you are going to get your 1.4 squared plus 2 squared minus 3.09736. Now, one of the mistakes, dear students, you do, sometimes for you, I don't know why, some of you just get this answer. Yet there's one independent thing. This thing is dependent on the cosine. So never subtract them. So always make sure that you deal with the cos, multiply everything here with the cos, and then now you continue. So when you do the mathematics here, you are going to end up with your answer here as 2.8626, and this is your x squared. So the next thing to do is you get your square root, So your x still will equal to 1.6, yes, 1.69193. And therefore, that is how you're going to conclude. So you can approach it in that particular format. But this item, remember, please avoid using the saw, the car, and the tower. At this point, why? Because this is not a right-angled triangle. So never do. Sine is equal to opposite out of hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent out of, unless when it is a right-angled triangle. If we had found that one of the angles is a right-angled triangle, then we would have gone on to use that kind of what approach. But since it is not, never use it unless otherwise. But you need to use them. You must have your angles as a right-angled triangle. Okay, can I have some 3 questions? Number 1, St. Elizabeth Mitiana, unmute. Acholi Ame School, unmute. International, unmute. Okay, I think I'm failing to get them. St. Elizabeth, I've failed to get you. Giovanni, I've failed to get you. the peer secondary are failed and Malaba. Galax, okay. Okay, so we are going to continue. I'm seeing your hands are up. Oh. Okay, what are they saying?
We have not understood. Master, we have not understood.
Which part? Which part?
All.
Most especially.
The screen is not displaying.
What are you seeing?
The screen is not displaying the work.
You are
We
not
are
seeing the
lost.
work.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it is your end because here I'm sharing my screen. I don't know whether people.
The problem is
You were not seeing the work.
Yeah, we are seeing nothing. We have just
Okay,
shared a
can
screen
I know
of
from the chat?
students.
Okay, wait, let me get people from the chat. Members, were you seeing the work on the chat or you were not seeing? Okay, now I think we are not seeing. What happened? Okay, okay. So, now I want, where did you, did you see the pictures? Were you seeing the pictures that I displayed? But people are saying we saw everything. Okay, okay, okay. I'm going to, is my screen on? Are people seeing my screen? I want first to know now. Are people seeing my screen? Okay, okay. Now I'm going to, but I'm going to be a bit now very fast for those who didn't see. But I want to, so they told you, like I've said, that always please make sure you come up with a working sketch. So they told that a contractor is renovating a classroom. So when they tell that is renovating, so you're going to first come up with what? With a sketch and say, sketch showing a classroom what? A classroom what? A classroom block, something like that. Because I've told you, I have to communicate your work. So now, when you look at that, this is your ground. This is the ground. Now, this one being the ground, they told you that it is almost bending, or it is bending, meaning that you are going to come up with a sketch showing that. But like I've said, always be proportionate. If you talk that the angle is 80, let the angle at least be a bit like 80. So here I'm going to place my 80 degrees. Then from there, they went on and told you that to prevent the wall from collapsing before repairs are completed, the contractor places 2-meter wooden support. So what does it mean? It means, let me say, this is now my wooden support that they have placed. Now, what does the question want? They are interested in this particular what? In this particular distance. But they told you that this was 1.4 meters. Now, in order for you to be able to do this particular task, you need to go on and ask yourself, what were the units here that this support is 2 meters? Now, you are going to go on and now ask yourself, how am I going to obtain this distance? when you look at it very well, you are not able to obtain that distance because you only have two sides and you do not have the angle. So you can either utilize your cosine rule or you can use the sine rule. Any of the rules you use, you'll be able to get the what? The unknown answer. Now, the choice is yours. But if you remember what your teacher has taught you, let me say the two important rules are we have the cosine rule and the sine rule. So in case this is A, this is B, and this is C. In case this is our angle A, the side where A faces is the length of A. Where B faces is the B, and where the C faces is your side C. So from cosine rule, you can now say, depending on the angle you have, for our case, when you look at our diagram, it resembles this side. So now you can say that our A squared will equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC, and you say this is cos of A. Now, this is one approach. So when you look at it, you note that if you are to use the cosine rule, you have your angle, which angle is given. You have the length of the two sides, which is B and A. So that means that if you are to use the cosine rule, you are going to be looking out for what? For C. So now that's the first thing you can do. So, however, you label your diagram basing on what you have. So you can say, now like this side that is unknown, you can facilitate it and say that let the length between, or the distance between the wall and where to put the support be, let me say I'm going to use my X. Now, when you compare it to the cosine rule I've written here, it means that you are going to come and say X squared is equal to your B squared. B squared is this side, which is 1.4 what? Okay, sorry about this. You are going to relate that this is A, this is B, and C. When you look at our diagram, where A is in the position of 2. So this is going to be 2 squared. What about B? B is in the position of 1.4 squared. What about C? Is in the position of X squared minus 2 times what is B? Your B, when you compare very well, your B here is going to be 1.4. What is your C is X, and then you say cos of 80. Now, at this point here, you are going now to do the math. What is 2 squared? 2 squared is 4. Then you ask yourself, what is 1.4 squared? It is 1.96. Then plus your X squared minus. Now, 2 times 1.4 is 2.8. So I'm going to have 2.8 of X, then times cos of 80, which is the same thing, times 0.1736. And then, like I told you, always write, as long as you are still using that value, make sure you have at least 4 decimal places. So at this point, we shall have 4 equaling to 1.96 plus X squared minus. Now you have 2.8 times that. So we shall say 2.8 times the cos, which will give us now 0.4862x. Now, when you look at this kind of equation, you are noticing that it is driving you onto what you call a quadratic equation. So collect like terms. So I'm going to say now 4 minus 4 is equal to 1.96 minus 4 plus x squared minus 0.4862 of x. So here we shall have 0 is equal to 1.96 minus our 4, which is negative 2.04, then plus our x squared minus the 0.48 of 62x. Now arrange this as a quadratic equation. So this is going to be x squared minus 0.4862x minus 2.04 is equal to 0. Now, the next thing is you are going to solve. But whenever you find yourself that you are getting points, the best way to solve this is using the bulldozer what? The bulldozer method. Yes, that is the best approach that you can use for such. So, if you use that one, it becomes very, very easy for you. So now that is the approach that you can use for such. So what are you going to do? You write your bulldozer method, and then you find out what the value of x is. Now, your bulldozer method, like I want to repeat, that they do not give you a mark for writing the formula. It's not going to be given to you, but I always encourage you to write it down such that it becomes very easy for you to substitute, because they give marks for the right or for the correct substitution of the values. So I'm going to come here, and I know some of you know how to use the calculator, but please always make sure that you come and show you're working clearly. So I'm going to come like this, and then I substitute. We had our B as negative 0.4862 plus minus, come here, place in your B, which is negative 0.4862 squared, minus the 4 times your A, which was 1 times C, which is negative 2.074, and then everything is going to be 2 times 1. So here we shall have 0.4862 plus minus, then make sure you square those things. You remember, whenever you square a negative, you end up with what? With a positive. So inside the brackets, we are going to end up with the, so from what I'm getting here, you end up with something like this in the brackets, divide by 2. So now the next thing, you get the root 4862 plus minus. So when you get the root of your answer, here we shall have 2.8977. Divide by everything, divide by 2, and this is equal to your x. Now, what are you going to do? Consider the positive and then consider the what? The negative. So when we say 0.4862 plus 2.8977, so I'm going to come here, I'm going to consider the first one, the positive. It means we shall have x is equal to 0.4862 plus 2.8977 divided by 2. So when you place your calc, you'll end up with your 1.69195, and these are what? Meters. So I'm going to ignore the negative because I'm going to get a negative, and our distance cannot be negative. Now, after getting this value, it means that this is the position where your supporting material can be placed. So how are you going to conclude? Now you're going to go back. When you look at measurements, you notice that it may not be easy for you to measure these small things. So now you are going to say the approximate value can be 1.7 what? Meters. So you come here and you conclude that the lower end of the wooden support should be placed at 1.7 meters, because even when you look at the wall here, you notice that they used 1 to 1 decimal point. So you must reason that if I leave it as 0.69, it may be a bit hard for me to be able to get the other value. So that is how now you can make that what? That calculation. Kindly let me know through the chat whether we are together on that. Okay. Now, that is the, okay. Okay. Now, that is when you use the cosine rule. But still this same number, you can use the chain, you can go on and use the second method of the sine rule. Because when you look at your sketch, when you look at your what? Your sketch that you had, here you had your 1.4, here you had your 80, here you had your 2. Now what can you do? You could first find the angle here, but define that let the angle between the supporting material and the ground be alpha. Now here you can use your sine rule. Remember, still when your teachers were teaching you, in case they told you that in case this is A, this is A. In case this is B, this is B. In case this is C, this is going to be C. So your sine rule will tell you that A out of sine of A will equal to B out of sine of B, and will equal to C out of sine of C. Now you can apply the same at this point here. So at this point, I can say 2 out of the sine of 80 is equal to 1.4 out of the sine of alpha. Since I'm interested in alpha, I'm going to cross multiply, or I'm going to do the cross multiplication. So what am I going to have? I'll have 2 sine of alpha equals to 1.4 sine of 80. You cross multiply. This will multiply here. This will multiply this side. So here you shall have 2 sine of alpha equaling to, you multiply now 1.4. But before you put in the 8 in the calculator, first place it and get the values. But we said you must write it to at least 4 decimal places. So this is going to be 381. Then when you continue here, you have 2 sine of alpha is equal to that times 1.4, which will give you 1.3787 So divide by 2, divide your answer by 2. So your sine of alpha will equal to, once you divide this, is going to be 0.6894. Now get the alpha by getting the sine inverse of 0.6894. And once you place your calc, you are going to end up with your alpha as 43.5. But we said to at least 2 decimal places, you will get that. Now that means that when you come back here in your triangle, this angle here is 43.58 degrees. So what do you need? You need to find this angle here, such that you can be able to get this side here. Now, you know very well that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So you can say that let the angle between the supporting material and the wall be maybe beta. Define what you are using. So that means you say beta plus 80 plus 43.58 will equal to 180. So when you do the mathematics, that is going to be what? It's going to be 50 something. So you do your math. Do your math quickly. Do your math. Do your math. So here you shall end up with 56.42 degrees. Now, what are you going to do? Now, after getting that angle, you can again now use your sine rule. You can go on and use what? Your sine rule again. So our sine rule now here, allow me to create now some space. So when I come back here, I'm going to have something like this, that here you had your 1.4. Here you had your 2. So the angle you have got here is 56.42. The angle you have here is 80. And what are you looking for? You are looking for this side of x. So what are you going to do? You go on and use sine rule. So you say x out of sine of 56.42 is equal to 2 out of the sine of what? 80. So now you cross multiply, you get x sine of 80 equaling to 2 sine of 56.442. So at this point, place your calculator. So x times sine of 80, avoid rounding off from your calculator. Make sure that always you write your values. Avoid those things of rounding off from your calculator, and then you just place your values. So this is going to be 83311. So when you divide this side by 0.98481, do the same this side 98481, you'll notice that your x, if you place your calc 2 times 0.83311, divide by 0.98481, you end up with your answers 1.6919, and these are meters. So what are you going to do? What you are going to do now, you are going to make your conclusion. But when you look at 919, you may not be able to measure it on your instrument. So you are going to make a conclusion and say, therefore, the ground, or so then you can go on and say that the distance or the supporting material should be placed at approximately 1.7 meters from the ground or from the wall. So that's how you can respond. So I'm going to have 2 questions. Number 1 from St. Elizabeth Girls, Mitiana unmute. Ngalama SS unmute. Unmute. Continue, St. Elizabeth. Oh, get close to the microphone. I'm not hearing. Come again, you're saying? What? Come again. I'm not. Maybe you can type in the chat. I'm not getting you. Kiyonga High. Ngalama SS is singular unmute. Okay. I think I'm failing to get you. Kiyonga High. Oh, I think your network. Yes, please go on.
Hello.
Yes, please go on. Go on and ask.
We understood everything, but the problem is on method 3, because from method 1 we understood that you have to use the cosine and the sine rule, but in the third method we didn't understand anything, because we just drew the triangle and expressed the sine rule, and we didn't get the angle which we were looking for. You just gave us the side.
Now, which one? Which angle?
The angle
Now,
between the angle of the wooden block the contractor had to put between the ground and the wall.
now, I think we got it from here. Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Now, after getting the 43.58, angles in a triangle add up to 180. So you can find this missing side by adding the two angles you already have minus 180. Is that clear? It is here.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Hope now it is okay. Oh, so allow me that now we go to the last part of the item. Now, the last part of the item was combining two things. Number one, it was combining the idea of bearing. They were checking, do you know how to measure bearings? Do you know how to make sketches for bearings? Now, still, like I've said, that come up with a talking sketch. So we shall still first come up with a sketch showing the materials and other things. Now, they told you that after establishing the wall, the contractor walks 3 kilometers. Let me say this is where we have our wall. This is the ground for the wall. I'm just placing it here. They told that the contractor walks 3 kilometers on a bearing of 0.50. Now you need to know bearings. Whenever you find a bearing starting from 0, that is an indicator that that is the north line. Whenever we are measuring bearings, we measure them in a clockwise direction. So now that is my 50. So our engineer is going to be walking like this. So this is where we have our 50 degrees. And they told us that on a bearing of 50 degrees, how many kilometers? Show the direction that these are 3 kilometers. Then they went on and said that to inspect a proposed store for construction materials. He then walks further 4 kilometers due east, meaning that when the engineer reached at this point, he went on and walked more 4 kilometers. Now, you need to show that the 3 kilometers and the 4 kilometers are different. That 4 kilometers at least are longer than the 4. So this is the east, so I will show that these are the 4 kilometers. To inspect a proposed water tank site. Now here I'm going to say that this is the water site. Then what was here? That this was the store for construction material. Store for construction material. Now, what does the item want? The item wants you to determine, because before construction begins, the contractor needs accurate information. So they want you to determine the location of the proposed water site. Now, what do they want you to do? One, whenever you are locating, make sure that you give always, when you are giving someone direction, you must give the distance, you must go on and give the what? The direction. So what are we going to do? They want you to obtain where is the engineer now. Are you seeing this? This is what they're indirectly asking you to do. Before construction begins, the contractor needs to accurate information about the location of the water tank site for inclusion on the site plan. Now, you need to know where is it located. And for this, you need to know that our reference point is here where the wall was. So what do you need to do? Now here, you don't need to do the accurate bearing. They have told you to determine, much as you can use any of the approaches that you feel like, but here it is mainly the calculation approach. So I'm going to come and extrapolate, and I draw my right angled triangle like this. Now, what do you need to know? Now here, you know very well that these two lines are going to meet at 90 degrees. So in order for you to find, you are going to use your SOHCAHTOA. You are going to use your SOHCAHTOA. So I expect to come have your SOHCAHTOA. Now you ask yourself, if I'm to find this distance here, what can I use? And then you know that now there, since I have the angle, this side here is my opposite. But also I have my hypotenuse. So the best trigonometric ratio to use is going to be my sine. So I'm going to first define that let the distance from here up to here be my x. So now I'm going to come and say that my sine of 50 is equal to my opposite out of the hypotenuse. So we shall have our sine of 50 equaling to our opposite, which is x, divided by hypotenuse, which is 3. So your x will equal to, you cross multiply, we shall have 3 sine of 50. And therefore we shall come and say now, our x is equal to 3 times. Place your calc. What is sine of 50? That sine of 50 is 0.7664. So our x will equal to that times 3, which will give us 2.298. And what are these? These are kilometers. Now, after getting that, I'm going to come and I will put that here I have 2.8 kilometers. So what do I need? Now I need to go on and find this distance from the wall to the water side. Now there are two ways you can do it. You can use your knowledge of Pythagoras theorem, because this one is like a right angle triangle. Or you can now decide that I can still go on and first find my height here. After finding the height, I use the Pythagoras theorem. So, because you cannot find the whole of this angle or this side, minus knowing the height here, so I'm going to call this one to be my h. Now, you ask yourself, if this is my angle, this is my opposite, and this is my adjacent. Now, I'm interested in finding the adjacent, which has my h. So that means that adjacent and hypotenuse, or you can use opposite and adjacent, it is okay. So someone can use tan, someone can use cos. So I can say that cos of theta of 50 is equal to my adjacent out of the hypotenuse. So we shall have our cos of 50 is equal to adjacent, which is h, divided by hypotenuse, which is 3. So when you cross multiply, you'll have 3 cos of 50, and therefore you get your calculator again. Place what's cos of 50. So this is going to be 3 times 0.64279. So when you place your calc, the answer times 3, you end up with 1.9284 kilometers. Now, it means that now you have obtained your sketch. What next is to find the distance between the wall and where the water site is. So you're going to come up with another sketch. So I'm going to come up with a sketch of this nature. This is my sketch, whereby here my height I have obtained 1.9284. Now somewhere here I obtained my distance was 2.298. Just to confirm, 2.298. And here the engineer had moved 4 kilometers. So now I'm going to get the total distance here. Remember, this is 90 degrees. So there, in order for me to get this distance here, I'm going to use my Pythagoras theorem. So I'm going to first say the total horizontal distance is going to be 2.298 plus 4. Please show those workings. Don't just add from your head and just place the answer. Show all the working. So this is going to be 6.298 kilometers. So now to get that, use Pythagoras theorem. So we shall say now that distance from the wall to the here, which you can call maybe D. You define that let D be the distance from the wall to where the water site is. Now it's going to be the square root of 1.9284 squared, then plus 6.298 squared. So when you place your calc and see what you get, you are going to have 1.9284 squared. So inside here, we shall have 43.3835. So when you get the root, you'll end up with your answer as, the answer here I'm getting 6.5867 kilometers. But whenever you are drawing a plan, always it is very important to put the orientation, to put the direction, not only the kilometers. So we are also going to find out what angle shall we have to turn. So let me say this angle is alpha. Then you are going to come and say that tan of alpha is equal to my tan is opposite, which is now 6.298 divided by adjacent, which is 1.9284. So our alpha will equal to tan inverse. So when you place the tan inverse 298 divided by 1.9284, here I have this. So tan inverse of that will give you an angle of 72.98 degrees. Now, what are you going to do? You go back and respond to the item. Never leave an item without responding, because they asked you, determine the location of the proposed water tank site. Now, when you are providing the location, when you look at how they were providing these locations, they were providing the distance, and the direction. Distance and what? The direction. Mean that also your location, you are going to use that. Now, in case it was a bearing, you saw how they were using the bearing in the scenario. So now, when I'm writing here, I'll say that the location of the water site is 6.5867 kilometers. And which direction? Or on a bearing of, now you can write this in a good way. Remember, when you are writing now for bearing, I can say 0, 7. Remember, we write only 3 digits. Now this one, you write it like that, because we write only to 3 digits when you are writing what? These bearings. So that is how you can write your bearing for such. Okay, I'm going to okay, now I'm going send. Okay. Now in case you have a question, kindly raise up. How many decimal places should you write the angle? 2 decimal places. So I'm going to respond to some few questions and then I will end the session. Yes, Saint Elizabeth? Unmute. Come again. Your voice is very low. Get close to the microphone.
Is it possible to use more than 2 means in the same working?
Yes, it is very possible. You may find yourself that here you need the cosine rule, here you need the sine rule, here you need this rule. It is very, very possible, depending on the scenario. You are saying? Okay. Selele SS, unmute. Okay. I've failed to get Selele. Captura Muslim. Okay. I've failed to get Captura. Attila Seed SS. Okay. I've failed to get you. Beatrice Secondary.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
So, for me, my question is, we have not understood the last method of Sokatoa on the last item. So, can we go with the first method you gave us for sine or?
Now, for you to use Sokatoa only applies when you have a right angled triangle. Is that fine? Only when you have a right angled triangle. So we have used it here. So if you want to use it here, it is very correct. You can use it. The only limitation with it, that here you didn't have this angle. Are you seeing? You only had this angle here. This is the only angle you had, which was 50. So you didn't know which angle is here. So there's any way you are going to use your sine rule or cosine what? Cosine rule. The only alternative you have is to apply now the Sokatoa. But what you need to know about the Sokatoa is that you need to label your sides based on the position where the angle is. The S stands for sine, C stands for cos, and the T stands for the tan. Yeah? No, here now you may not find any other method unless you went in for graphical. But when you go in for graphical, you are not going to be accurate because you need now to just measure when you go for the graphical approach. Okay. Holy angels, power Christ. Is this Roborongota? Yes, ask. Yes. Come again.
So, what about if you just measure this?
When you do what?
What about if you just measure? We measure this distance from here to from the wall to the other.
No, that's when you use the graphical approach. That's when you use the graphical approach.
Then angles, we just measure the angles using protractor.
Yes, using the protractor.
Yes.
Yeah, but now that one is the length approach. But you need to read. Once they just say determine, then that means you need to know that now if I'm determining, they are interested in the calculation approach. But if they wanted you to use the graphical, then they would have told you using graphical or sketch or do this and the other. So now you need to understand what does the scenario and which approach is the best or which skills they are testing for. So here they were testing for your trigonometry 2 skills of using sine, cos, sine rule.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I think I'm going Why did we extrapolate? I've said that they told that when he reached where the store was, he was made to go further 4 kilometers. The number of decimal places needed for length at least have 4 decimal places are very good. Yes, for part B, you can use the bearing approach, but that one is length and read the scenario. If they just tell you determine, calculate, they're interested in using the calculation approach, not the other approach. When you are looking up, when you look at the sky, that's what we call the angle of elevation. When you look down on the floor, that's what we call the angle of depression. So that one you need to know that whenever your eye is looking down here, this is what we call the angle of depression. When you look up at something, we call it the angle of elevation. So depression means someone is very stressed here. Whenever someone is very stressed, you find those people are a bit down. They don't want to talk. They don't want anything. So that's why we call it that angle of depression. You are looking downwards. Okay. 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 I think I have answered. For any other questions that may be because per drop. Okay. Okay. I think
Hello?
yes, please.
Can you work for us this thing of tree diagram? Just use sample.
Tree
diagram in probability.
Okay. Now that one. Okay, I'm going to, I think we can, okay, I can do something, but now would you allow me that I'm going to refer you to some of the sessions we have had, because I think I've done it. I've done something similar to a tree diagram, but let me just maybe throw some little light on it. Now, when it comes to a tree diagram, is a method of presentation. And a tree diagram, we are basically looking at, do you know how to pick probabilities? So under the tree diagram is, let me say they may tell you that you have a bag, you have this and the other. So what does it mean? So if they give you something of that nature, I want to. So if they give you, let me say they can tell you that the bag contains 3 yellow and maybe 4 blue. Now, there are 2 ways on using this tree diagram. It can be by replacement, meaning that whatever thing you pick, you put it back into the box. Then the other approach is the other is that when you pick, you don't place it back. Now, those are the 2 approaches. So it can be when there is replacement or when there is no replacement. So when there is replacement, it means that the total number of balls within a particular basket, they remain the same, or the total remains the same. When it comes, let me say there are 4 blues and you have 2 yellows. It means that under the replacement, when I pick the first time, here the total balls, we shall have 4 plus 2, which will be 6. So you can either pick a blue ball or you can pick a yellow. So the chances of you picking a blue is like when you have a blue, since they are blue, it will be 4 out of 6. The chances of picking a yellow is going to be 2 out of 6. Now, if it is with replacement, after picking, you put back your bow. So that means that if you have to pick again, you can pick a yellow, you can pick a blue. So here the yellow still will be 2 out of 6, and then the other one still will be 4 out of 6. Now, when it comes to the without replacement, it means that the number of balls keep on reducing whenever you pick. So whenever you pick a ball, the number of balls are going to what? To reduce. Now that is when it comes to without what? Without replacement. Whatever picking you do, the number, I don't know what's happening to my screen. Okay, so they keep on reducing, they keep on reducing. Yeah, so that's what you do for that. So if you pick the first time, the number of balls keep reducing, 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 reducing. Now the questions. Okay, let me pick one last question from Chinyala. Chinyala, but I think I'll get for you some scenarios, but I'm going to show you. Chinyala? Chinyala?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
So we're trying to ask about the other, about the bearing. After the sketch,
Yes.
do you like draw the actual diagram again?
No, no, no. You don't need. Here, you draw a sketch. Whenever you're going to use the calculation approach, you just make a sketch. You don't need to draw the accurate diagram unless they have asked you to draw it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Now I'm seeing some school here. Last one, okay. Simaga. Yes, Simaga.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, may you help us and talk more about rotation?
Oh, rotation. Rotation. Now, my screen is misbehaving, but let me see whether now. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen? Yes? Yes, eh? Now, when it comes to rotation, there are two things you need to know. One is what we call the center of rotation, and then the angle of rotation. In rotation. Now, in rotation, we have things that you need to know is how do you rotate? So whenever you have positive, we rotate in the anti-clockwise direction. Take an example. In case they tell you a positive 90 degrees in rotation, you are going to come like this. In case maybe they have told us the center is 0, 0, you'll come like this, and then you rotate in the anti-clockwise direction. Whenever it is negative, maybe 90, then here you rotate in the clockwise direction. So positive, you rotate in the anti-clockwise. Negative, you rotate in the clockwise direction. Number two is that when the center of rotation is 0, 0, then for such cases, you can use the standard matrix of cos of theta, negative sine of theta, sine of theta, and cos of theta. In case they have told you that the center of rotation is 0, 0, in order for you to get the matrix of transformation, you can go on and use this formula. When you find them using words such as a positive quarter turn, negative quarter turn, then you need to know that a turn is equivalent to 360 degrees. So when they say a half a turn, then it means that you are going to say a half times 360, which gives you 180 degrees. So you can do like that. That's what I can say briefly about. But the most important thing, whenever they give you the center of rotation, your protractor, in case this is your protractor, the middle of the protractor must always be at your center of rotation. Place your protractor and move. And whenever the center of rotation is not 0, 0, then it is a must for you to use the graphical approach. Whenever you find that the center of rotation is not 0, 0, go on and use the graphical approach. Now, for cases where they are going to give you, cases where they can give you the object and the image, they may give you an object and they give you maybe the image, and they want you to find the center of rotation. What you do, in case this is P prime and this is P, always join P to P prime and then bisect this line perpendicularly. You bisect, bisect, draw your perpendicular bisector. Join any other side, join it, and also draw the perpendicular bisector. Where those two perpendicular bisectors meet, that's where you're going to find the center of what? Of rotation. But allow me that we shall have a session, God willing, next week, and then we'll look at people who have asked about probability, and maybe we shall have something concerning transformations. I don't know whether I've answered your question or you wanted something more on that. Smart, is there something you wanted specific for me to talk about?
Yes, sir.
What did you want?
Yes. Okay, sir. Especially when they give for you that you should rotate the object when it is not at the origin. Now are you going to place, assuming they have given for you that you should rotate it clockwise at the 270. Now how are you going to rotate it?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Now, in case the object is not at the origin, in case the object is not at the origin, let me say this is your thing. This is 0, 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3. And maybe they have told that the center of rotation is at 2 and 1. I'm going to come and I put here my center. And maybe which object are we rotating? Maybe we have, let me just use one point. Maybe I have a point here, A. What do you do? In case, okay, let me place this A somewhere, maybe else. In case maybe this is the point you are rotating. Maybe it is at this point 1 here. This is the point A. What you do, or this point A, what you do always, you are going to come, get your ruler. Join this point A you want to rotate to where your center is. Now, in case they have told you that rotate it maybe 180 degrees, Z to 270 and the rest of that. For you come, which direction? Is it clockwise and clockwise? Like I've said, your center of protractor should be here. So come like this, place your protractor like this. Now, when you are, like I've said, should be here. Here in the middle here, your middle of the protractor should be here. And now check, how many degrees are you rotating? That is the most important, that I'm rotating this number of what? Degrees. Now, you need to know that if you are to rotate the degrees, please and please, let me now place it better. Let me first place it. If I'm to go anti-clockwise, I'll go like this. Now, if I'm to rotate this point and I'm going anti-clockwise, I'm going to come like this. This is the protractor. I'll place my protractor like this. Now, remember when you are counting, your 0 starts from here. So I'll come and I come that this is 90, that this is 180. Now, in case they have told you 360, then you'll come here, place your protractor here, and place it again like this. So you say 180 to get 270. How many degrees do you add on? And then you say that you add on 90. Then you'll come and you say now, this object here, A, is going to be somewhere here. Because from here, you have rotated the 300 watt, the 200 watt, 70 degrees. That's how you can rotate it. In case they had told you that they want you to rotate how many degrees? Maybe they wanted you to rotate maybe they wanted you to rotate in the clockwise, and this is your center. For you, what you do, in case this is the point you are rotating, for you first join. Then place your protractor here. Which direction are you going? That you are going clockwise. Place your protractor like this. Remember, your zero should start from here and then move. Move. Where is 90? Here. Where is 180? Here. Now come. Place your protractor again like this. Add on 180. Where have you stopped? 270 is here. Then that means you are going to come and draw a line like here. Now measure this distance. In case these are 2 centimeters, from here up to here, also measure your 2 centimeters. SMAG, let me hope that is okay. People from SMAG, is it fine? Okay. Hope people of SMAG, you have got how to place your protractor.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm saying Captura, you have a question. Captura, ask. And then I'll give a chance also to light vocation.
Put some padding on the point of rotation.
Come again?
Put some padding on the point of rotation.
You need some?
Yes.
You need some?
Yes. Put some padding on the point of rotation, sir.
The point of? You are not clear. The point of something.
Point of rotation.
The point of rotation is the center of rotation, is where you stand to start rotating. So the point of rotation is the center. Where do you stand to start rotating? It's like when you look at the field, the center where they place the ball is like what we can call the center of rotation. So it is the point that determines where you are going to stand to start rotating. Okay. Light vocational? Light vocational?
Sir, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes. I would like to first request you to summarize on how to get a medium when the question is about the data representation. How to get a medium.
How to get the median?
When the question is about the data representation.
Yes. When they have told you to draw, when they have told you to calculate, or
yeah, when they've tasked me to estimate. To estimate.
To estimate, eh?
Yeah.
Now, when it is estimating, I'm going to ask, when it is graph?
Yes.
Now, for median, we shall always use a frequency distribution curve. We shall use always an ogive. So always what you do, let me say, this is 9.5, this is 19.5, 29.5, 39.5. So what you do, you come, you get your median position, you say summation of F out of 2, assuming your total population is 40, you say 40 out of 2, then you'll get your 20th position. Now you come along this axis. Let me say this is 10, this is 20. So you come where 20 is, draw a line here, come here, and then you read off the value here. The value you read off there is your median. Okay. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Okay. Lastly, actually, Ami. The very last person. Actually, Ami. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
I would like you first to pardon from the other part whereby you sketch the bearing for the other one because our computer was somehow disturbing.
Now, I think what we are going to do actually, what we are going to do, when it came to a sketch, you need to know that for that particular sketch, they told you 0, 50 degrees. Now that one is an indicator you start from the north line. So if at all I'm placing my protractor, I will place it like this. So you'll find that 50 is somewhere here. So I'll come here and I draw a line like that. So here is where you place your 50 degrees. That is where your angle is. Then they told that when this gentleman reached where the class was, the gentleman moved east again for 4 kilometers. So you move like that, and therefore your sketch will be something like that. So that's how we had that sketch. Okay, so allow me that we are going to end here. I know you may have quite a number of questions, but we shall be responding to those questions. But from some of those topics you have been talking about, I know we have had sessions about them. So what are you going to do? I'm going to request that you are going to do what? You are going to sit down. You are going to sit down and you're going to visit the YouTube channel. Many of those things, many of those videos, we have had sessions about them. So if you could get access to this YouTube channel of Holistic, you'll find. Okay. So when you get access to this YouTube channel, you can come here. We have had very many sessions about those particular things. So come here. Things concerning linear programming, things concerning what? You'll come and find those things here. So you come here and then check what you are interested in. In case it is linear programming, you'll find. People were talking about transformation. I know here we have had a session about transformation. So you can come here, check out for that particular aspect of what? Transformations. You'll find them somewhere here. Linear programming, you'll find them. Transformations, you'll find them here. So you can just use this YouTube to get some of those sessions. I know we may not be able to do all at a go, but you'll find linear programming is here. People who are having challenges with probability is here. Challenges with circles is here. Composite functions is here. Yes, many of those sessions, you'll find them here. You just scroll through. You'll find the different things here. Anything that you miss, we shall always place it here such that you can be able to access it at your own what? At your own convenience. But many of those things, they are in here. So you just need to come here and then you check out where they are such that you can be able to access and utilize them at your own pace. But everything is here. Just utilize. I wanted to show you something, I think. In case there is any session you want, come here, check. You'll see them here, and then you can use them for your reading what? Your reading purposes. In case you still want some more, you'll find them here. We have dealt with many of those things. Now, those who still have challenges with data collection, presentation, come here. You use this session. In case you still have challenges with the trigonometric bearing, come here. If you have set theory problems, come here. This is distance time graphs. These are number bases, proportions, what. Many of those things are here. You can come and access them, and then it will be easy for you. So allow me to say that now. That's where you can access some of those things. And I want to say thank you so much for attending those questions that maybe we have not been able to respond to. I think your teachers can support with those particular with those particular questions. You can send us some messages. I think we shall be able to respond very well. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending. Let's meet tomorrow for another session. I think it will be geography, and let's keep time. I want to wish you a good day, and bye-bye, everyone.